Hey everyone! We're in Altoona, Pennsylvania to visit historic Lakemont Park. Why?
We are here today to ride the oldest roller coaster in the entire world. This is Leap the Dips.
If you're on your way east to Penn State or Harrisburg, chances are you'll pass right through Altoona.
Like seemingly every town we visit here in Pennsylvania, Altoona is an old railroad town, still known for the nearby world-famous Horseshoe Curve.
There's even a baseball team named after it, the Altoona Curve. And next to their ballpark is, hey, a roller coaster. But that's not the one we're talking about today. But we're in the same amusement park.
This is Lakemont Park. It's the 8th oldest amusement park in the United States. It opened in 1894 as a trolley park, and then a few years later, all the way back in 1902, a roller coaster opened here called Leap the Dips. And it's still here.
Just look at this thing. It's living roller coaster history. At the time of our filming this episode, this roller coaster is 119 years old. That's old. Older than the Model T, older than radio broadcasting, and yes, even older than Betty White. Leap the Dips is a side friction coaster. You might remember those from Roller Coaster Tycoon.
There's nothing locking the car to the track. It just basically runs between boards along the track.
Whoa.
And the boards keep it on the course.
This is Dave Hahner. He's a bit of an expert. Okay, he's like the expert. He's the historian for the American Coaster Enthusiast, or ACE for short. We met up with him to learn about the history of side friction coasters. To our surprise, there used to be a coaster just like Leap the Dips in a really popular Pittsburgh spot.
What used to be where the fountain is and to the left along the Allegheny shore was a roller coaster. It was a figure-8 roller coaster, very similar to Leap the Dips. Here at Pittsburgh, it was built by the T.M. Hart and Company, the owners of Westview Park. Those types of roller coasters, the figure-8 side friction roller coasters that Leap the Dips is, numbered in the hundreds across the country and around the world.
And fun fact, the second oldest coaster after Leap the Dips is a full 10 years newer. It's Scenic Railway in Luna Park in Melbourne, Australia, and incidentally, I used to live right across the street from it. Back then, I was afraid of roller coasters, so I never rode it. Something Ryan would just not let me off the hook for.
But as for the figure-8 side friction coasters?
Leap the Dips is the very last one. They're all gone. It is truly a lost piece of American history.
Historic enough, in fact, to be designated a National Historic Landmark.
It became a National Historic Landmark in the late 1990s, and in 2002, American Coaster Enthusiasts designated it its first ACE roller coaster landmark.
So obviously, they built coasters a bit differently back in 1902 than they do today.
Leap the Dips has no under-friction mechanism. More modern roller coasters have wheels underneath the track. It locks the cars to the track. That's why they do not come off the track.
That's why on modern coasters, when you go over hills, you feel like you're popping out of your seat, but the train doesn't fly off. Old side friction coasters, though, don't have anything under the track, just these wheels on the side to guide it. So you might be able to guess what that means.
The car will leave the track for a moment.
What?
Yes,
No,
you'll feel
are you serious?
when it goes over the drops, you'll actually feel it kind of pop up a little bit.
Oh my God.
Not much, it's only like an inch or two, but you'll feel it.
So with that new information, I have to admit that now I was getting a little nervous. A little old coaster from 1902 doesn't sound so threatening until you hear that you're literally going to Leap the Dips. So that's why we met up with Brian Carland. He's one of the ride operators on Leap the Dips, and he gave us an up-close and personal look at the ancient ride we were about to experience.
Usually the dip one right above us.
That's where you're likely to pop up the track a bit.
It's a little intense.
Oh, and you can see like along the sides of the track, like here, that it like bangs against the sides. I also noticed that there's no seatbelts.
No seatbelts, just a grab bar right in front of you. That's about it.
Okay then, no seatbelts and you fly off the track. Any other horrifying tidbits? Oh yeah, the brakes are just flexible pieces of wood.
So when the car's coming down this part of the track, the brake on the left gets pulled back the whole way, and then these wooden planks here are the actual brakes. So when I pull this back, they drop down, and that's what allows the car to keep coming through.
So you're actually like bending the track.
Yes.
Whoa!
And then there's a second lever for a second set of wooden brakes in the station. You can see beneath the track here that there's a complex system of boards connected with pivot joints below the platform that end with this lever here pushing up against the brakes. So that's how you make it stop. How do you make it go? Yep, a good old-fashioned shove. Gives a whole new meaning to push to start. And one more piece of antique engineering, the anti-rollback devices. These are what create the signature clanking sound on modern coasters as they ascend the lift hill. It's a long strip of steel ridges that prevent the coaster from rolling down backwards. But on Leap the Dips,
So these levers on the side here are what prevents the rollback from happening.
these wooden planks are what would stop the car from rolling backwards. With so many components that are over a century old, it probably seems like a miracle that this thing is still here. And really, it is. For a long time, starting in the mid-80s, the future of Leap the Dips was anything but bright.
And it survived a lot of ups and downs, as roller coasters tend to do. I was almost destroyed in 1937 from a flood. It almost closed permanently in the 80s because of the Boyertown fiasco, as we like to call it.
Boyertown as in Boyer, the candy company in Altoona that makes Mallow Cups.
They were trying to make a theme park similar to Hershey Park at the time.
Spoiler alert, it didn't work.
People didn't come, and they ran out of money. The park was gone in 2 years.
So Boyer Candy Company, not great at running amusement parks. However, side note, they are great at making candy. If you know anything about me, you know that Mallow Cups are pretty much what I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner most days, and their factory outlet is right down the street from Lakemont. So obviously we had to stop and pick up some sweet, delicious mallows. Like a lot of mallows. Anyway, getting off track here. That's a pun. So shortly after Boyertown, a new owner bought the park, but didn't have the money to resurrect Leap the Dips. And so it sat and decayed for many years until it looked like this.
It was deteriorating pretty badly. It was almost to the point that it was going to be bulldozed. It was going to be condemned and knocked over. But fortunately, enough people, including the American Coaster Enthusiasts, convinced the park that we got to save it. It's the world's oldest roller coaster.
They worked with local banks, private donors, and had on-the-ground efforts to raise money for the coaster for years.
ACE donated a lot of money, but we also did a lot of fundraising for it. And every year they used to have a large craft festival in the park called the Keystone Country Festival. We would stand in front selling raffle tickets. We would also sell pickets for the fence that goes around the perimeter of the coaster. And a lot of people's names were on there that donated money to help get Leap the Dips reopened in 1999.
When all was said and done, the restoration cost close to $1.5 million. And now Leap the Dips continues to thrill riders to this day with these impressive stats.
A towering 41-foot lift hill, a hair-raising drop of 9 feet, and a white-knuckle top speed of 10 miles per hour.
Which, sure, doesn't seem like much, but let me tell you, this ride is an absolute blast. Don't believe me? Well, hop on in and take a spin with us.
Here we go, here comes the final dip. The final dip. There we go, Leap the Dip. That's one dip. And the last dip. All right.
The thrill of Leap the Dips is similar to a lot of other really old wooden coasters. That out of control feeling in the sense that the ride could just fly right off the track at any given moment. And in this case, it, does. You're basically on a runaway cart sliding along a bunch of wooden boards. Sure, 10 miles an hour doesn't sound like much in theory, but it's pretty dang fast when you find yourself barreling through the course of a roller coaster built before the Wright Brothers flight at Kittyhawk.
And the reason you have to make this detour is you actually get to experience history, not in a museum behind a pane of glass. You actually get to sit your butt down on a real side friction coaster and for a few minutes travel back in time to 1902.
And we weren't even the only ones there making the detour. These are some friends I made on the coaster, Andrew and Hannah. They were on a cross-country coaster road trip, and this was Hannah's first time riding Leap the Dips. And she has some tips.
I mean, I felt like in the back seat is like you really fly out of your seat. I don't know, it's like so different from the front and the back. If it's their first time roller coaster, maybe the front is the way to go. But if you've been on many roller coasters and it's like, you know, you can handle things jumping onto your seat and stuff, I'd say back is better.
You know, I've been coming to ride Leap the Dip since I was a kid, but I remember a long time ago, there used to be another really crazy coaster right here in this spot. It was a Herschel Mad Mouse, and it felt like you could rocket off the track at any moment. And real quick, while we're on the Mad Mouse, while my amazing parents spent days digging up this retro footage of it, they also found this photo that my mom took of the Mad Mouse at its original location at White Swan Park. It closed in 1989 when PennDOT decided to build a highway through it. But anyway, there's not a whole lot of photos of that out there, so I thought that was pretty cool. And now I'm getting off track. But one of my favorite Lakemont memories is coming here every year at Christmas and seeing all the trees lit up on Leap the Dip's loading platform.
What he's talking about is Lakemont Park's holiday lights on the lake. This is something that still goes on every winter. You're able to drive your car all the way through Lakemont Park, around the rides, which are brightly decorated with over 1 million lights.
And I don't know, I just get this warm and fuzzy feeling seeing the Christmas trees up on the platform. Everything else is so bright and crazy, but then there's Leap the Dips, just a few simple trees. It's like it's saying, I don't need to be the biggest and flashiest ride, I'm still here, and that's enough.
We're trying to preserve as much history as we can of the amusement industry, because once it's gone, it's gone. It's nice to know that parks such as Lakemont Park, they try to preserve history, and they have historic rides that you can't see anywhere else.
And here's to hoping that Leap the Dips remains here, thrilling guests with its one-of-a-kind charm for another century to come. And with that, we hereby induct Leap the Dips into our Offbeat Amusement Ride Hall of Fame. We've added a section about these Hall of Fame rides to our website, justaquickdetour.com, if you want to learn more about them.
Well, that's all for this detour, but we'll see you again soon for the next one.